He doesn't know who, he doesn't know why, but someone will pay for his lost years. I'm Zan. Konnichiwa, aloha, buongiorno, and what's up? And welcome to another episode of the Spiraken Manga Review. So let's get to it, because if you remember from the last episode, I spun that one that only the Wheel of Manga. And I dictated to be there reviewing a manga that is a new deluxe edition of a manga that we reviewed all the way back in episode 116 of the podcast. And what are we talking about? We're talking about Old Boy. Now, have our reviews changed since the last time we did this? Well, let's see, because the manga that we're talking about is, as I said, Old Boy. And this was written by Garon Tsuchiya and Nobuaki Minegishi. And this is made famous by the 2003 South Korean film directed by Park Chan-wook, and also the remake that was made in 2013 by Spike Lee starring Josh Brolin. And it is a very simple story. It is a story of confusion, of revenge, of horrible plots. And let's get to it, because this is the story of a unique individual, a person who is currently being held captive in a building. This is a very unique building, because in order to find this building, you have to go to an elevator and hit the numbers 7 and 8 to a hidden floor that was built in this building. And inside of it are several prisoners. Each of these prisoners are here for various reasons. Why are they there? We don't know yet. What did they do? We don't know, but they've been here for several periods of times. And our main character, unfortunately, has been here for years. Not 1 year, not 2 years, but 10 years. And the only actual interaction they have generally is with the delivery guy who brings them their food, because 2 times a day, the Chinese restaurant comes, brings food, they give it to their guard goes and gives food to every single person. If you try to escape, bad things will happen. But our main character, who is nameless right now, he has just been here in this small room with a television, a bathroom, and a bed for 10 years. The TV has been his life, his church, his lover, his source of news, and that's it. And he keeps himself occupied. How would you do that? Well, keep yourself from going stir crazy by watching TV, by working out, by shadow boxing. You keep yourself in shape, because you got to, because otherwise you're going to go crazy, because you're in this small cell in essentially solitary confinement for periods of times, until one day a bunch of individuals show up with a suitcase and pretty much tell him, listen, here's the deal. Here's a suit of clothes. Here's the thing. You're getting out. Wait, what? What do you mean I'm getting out? Well, you're done. You're set to go, and we're good. And we're going to take care of you. And he doesn't realize there's someone behind him going to try to knock him out. He gets into a huge fight with them and kicks their butt, because, like I said, he's been shadowboxing for the last 10 years. He's got himself in shape, and he's kicking butts. Unfortunately, the bad guys are able to overtake him. And he finds out that they can't tell him who put him there, why they put him there. Just he's been there 10 years, and it's up, so he's free to go. And after this moment, he's knocked out, put inside the suitcase, and brought to the middle of a park. And in the park, they're like, okay, we're going to leave him in the park, but he might get mad, might say something to the cops. So, simple, we'll give him some money. So they go, they give him 1,000 yen, about $10, and he's on his own. And he wakes up for the first time in 10 years in wilderness, breathing fresh air, not recycled air. And he sees the best thing of all. He's free. Free for the first time ever in his life. In this time in his life, in the last 10 years. And what's he going to do with this? Well, finds out he's got $10. He's going to go. He's going to get some food. Can't spend a lot of it, because, like I said, it's $10. And when sushi's $2 a piece, you got to kind of think about it. What are you going to spend? How much are you going to do? So he has his first meal that isn't this crappy Chinese food he's been eating for the last 10 years. Or it's actually healthy, but, it's over time you want something a little different. He ends up getting a cigarette off the floor, because he's not going to pay $10 for a cigarette. He doesn't have the money for it. And he decides, what is he going to do with his newfound freedom? Well, he is going to figure out who took his last decades, why, and get revenge on them. Because he was obsessing about this for years, because his life was taken from him. He doesn't know what happened. He doesn't know why it happened, but for 10 years, he has been stuck completely alone in this kind of horrible situation. And now it's time for him to get his revenge. What's going to happen? Who's going to know? Well, you have to wait and see what happens to find out. And this is the story of Old Boy. Now, if you watch the film, which is this was inspired by this, the one by Park Chan Woo, that story goes a very different level. It goes a lot more violence, a lot more action. The reasons why the villain of the piece does what he does is kind of horrifying. Same thing in the 2013 version. They do kind of a parody of that, but that's the reason why they do it. In this version, because this is volume 1, but the whole series goes a very different level. It's not as dark as the movie. It's a little more, I don't want to say pedantic, but it's kind of the reason why the bad guy does what he does is kind of messed up. Not horrifying messed up, but it's like, why would you do it for this reason? This is really petty, but that's what he does. He spends over $300 million for this revenge. Why? Who knows? But this is our main character is trying to figure this out. You're probably wondering, why am I not saying his name? Well, we don't find out his name for 4 volumes, and I don't want to deprive you of the mystery of that. And this is a special edition. This is a very cool omnibus edition with a black ribbon bookmark and a really cool shiny imprint. And the art is spectacular. We get a lot of great moments in this. And just like the original story, it reads really well, especially when he figures out what's going on and he goes to where he needs to go. The logic of the story makes sense. All the elements make sense. This was set all the way back in 2003. So there are cell phones, there are other elements, but it's not super advanced. It's not like, oh, he has a computer, you can look up things. No, this is low tech, really low tech. It's still really cool. And Tsuchiya Minegishi did such a unique job with this series, because you had these two who worked together on this. And honestly, it's a really great story. The artwork is inspirational. If you've seen things like 20th Century Boys and Pluto, which is Naoki Urasawa, this is very similar to Naoki Urasawa, where you have the more circular elements. It's not pointed, the more bulbous noses, and the art for the characters are a little more European, but it still flows really well. And I do like some of the art scenes for the action, and more importantly, the more detailed moments, like when he's free. That moment of him looking in the sky is really kind of cool, really beautiful in a weird sort of way. But I digress. So besides the story and the characters, how is the narrative itself? The narrative is a mystery that you're slowly building up the pieces and figuring things out. When more comes into play, you learn a little more. And then, even when some elements are revealed, there's still more going on. What are the deal with this? What is the thoughts? Who knows what's going to go on? Well, you have to read to find out. And when we first reviewed this back in 116 of the podcast, over, I think it's 15 years now. 15 years ago, we reviewed this. And honestly, this story was a lot different. Our thoughts about it were different. Cal, my co-host at the time, he was not really a fan of it. He thought it was a little weird. He didn't understand what the situation was. And more importantly, he didn't get what was going on. He's like, I don't get this. This is kind of stupid. Why does he do this? Why did this happen? This seems a little too predictable. But as the story goes on, we find out that things are more set up than they were. And I'm being enigmatic for a lot of reasons. I really want to spoil this and talk about this. And technically I could, because statute of limitations. It has been over 10 years since this came out, so I could spoil this. And if you've seen the movie, you know bits and pieces about what happened. But the ending and the conclusion of this, the reasons for this are very different. And it's more of a cat and mouse noir story. And I do like that part. I do love that element, but there are things missing in the narrative, which kind of drives me crazy. So it's kind of, I'm in an interesting place. So I was going back and forth about this. I talked to Cal, actually. I messaged him and we talked back and forth on this story and his thoughts on it. And he completely forgot about it because he had not seen the movies yet. And afterwards, like, I love the movies. The manga was not as great as it was. And I'm kind of the same thing, where the narrative of the stories, the ending conclusion was much more sadistic, but it kind of fit a little better than this kind of. But I digress. This is not about the ending. This is about the journey and the volumes we're getting. So overall, what are my thoughts about this Old Boy Deluxe Edition Volume 1, Special Edition, which is a $50 book, but it is beautiful. It is a wonderful piece for your collection. Well, thought about it for a bit. I wavered back and forth. At first I was like, this is really, really cool because it's a nice addition. No. Is it a gift from your crazy Aunt Muriel? No, I don't think so. So I ended up giving this a borrow from a friend and don't return unless offered pocket. It has this ultra detailed artwork that is beautiful. It is very similar to Naoki Urasawa and it is well done. It has this inspired original story because it is a really original concept. A person who's kidnapped for 10 years, we don't know why, trying to figure out what happened with the bare minimum clues that he has. I mean, the only clue he has is in the bottom of one of the dishes for one of the years was part of a receipt with part of a word. So he has this piece of a word to figure out what it was. He knows what type of food it was, so that breaks it down further. But think about it. You're in Japan. You have the name of a Chinese food restaurant, but there's 20 Chinese food restaurants or 10 Chinese food restaurants, all with that name. What if they're not all it? Or what if it's just part of a word? It's a different word altogether. It's all of that as well. And also, most of the people he was with think he's dead, so it's kind of a big deal. But also, this is relatable because what would you do if you were kidnapped for that long? Kind of get it. Action sequences, really well done because, like I said, he was a shadow boxer. At one point, he actually ends up joining a boxing club to get intel. Really cool. Now, the cons for this series are the villain's motivations are really what the fuck. And apologies for my profanity, but that is the case. This is not a simple, oh, he did this because X, Y, Z. It's like, what? That's your reasoning? What the hell? And the other part is that the ending of the series is a little lackluster. It doesn't stick the landing. It's still a great ride. It's an amazing ride, but just the ending doesn't stick. Now, this is a noir mystery with some false imprisonment elements and cat and mouse games, but this is a story that you should read. Highly recommend it. It is well done. Now, if you've read this and you agree or disagree, let me know. Leave a comment down below. Email me personally at Zan, that's xanspiraken.com. Tweet me at Spiraken. Let me know your thoughts on if you are going to be picking up the Old Boy Deluxe Edition, or if you thought the manga is overrated, or if you hate the manga. Like I said, the overall story I really like. It's just that last ending kind of leaves a little bit of a sour taste, but the story, the ride is really cool. Also, the artwork makes it worth it. Let me know your thoughts. And so with that in mind, let's actually get to the next part of this podcast, which is our manga releases of the week. And we've got some really fun ones and some really weird ones too. So this week we've got the Fashion Illustrations Accessorize Book 1. We've got 365 Days to the Wedding, Volume 11. This is the final volume of this series, which we've been following for a while. It's pretty cool. Then we got Agents of the Four Seasons, Volume 1. Allmark, Volume 2. Alla sometimes hides her feelings in Russian, Volume 9. Animal Crossing Deserted Island Diary, Volume 10. Apprentice Nail Artist in a Foreign Land, Volume 1. Ascendancy of a Bookworm. I'd do anything to become a librarian. I want to save the Royal Academy's library. This is going to be Book 1, Series 3. Next we have Associate Professor Akira Tatsuka's Conjecture. This is the extended version. We have the Azure Sword Slayer of Distortion, Volume 1. Bastard, Volume 4. Betrothed to the Fox Demon, Volume 1. Black or White, Volume 12. Vote for I Don't Want to Get Hurt, so I'll Max Out My Defense, Volume 17, light novel. The Bubble Love of the Mermaid, Volume 1. By the Grace of the Gods, Volume 16. Campfire Cooking in Another World, My Absurd Skill, Omnibus number 5. Case Closed, Volume 98. Cherry Blossoms After Winter, Volume 4. Classroom for Heroes, Volume 6. Dear Sister, I Become a Blessed Maiden, Volume 1. Destroy All Humans, They Can't Be Regenerated, Volume 7. Diary of a Female Lead, Volume 6. Don't Hold Back Lord Hades, Volume 3. Drawing from Your Memory, Volume 1. The Ephemeral Scenes of Setsuna's Journey, Dawn, Volume 6. Flung into a New World, Time to Lift the 200-Year Curse, Volume 4. For Child Life, Volume 1. The Frontier Lord Begins with Zero Subjects, Volume 13, light novel. A Gentle Noble's Vacation Recommendation, Omnibus, Volume 1. Girl Crush, Volume 6. His Favorite, Volume 14. Hitomi-chan is Shy with Strangers, Volume 12, the final volume of this series as well. How Do We Relationship, Volume 14. How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift, Volume 20. I Want to See Me in Your Eyes, Volume 1. Idol Story, Volume 5. If My Favorite Pawn Idol Made It to Fukuden, I Would Die, Volume 11. In the Clear Moonlight Dusk, Volume 9. Inside the Tentacles Cave, Volume 7. Isekai Tensei Recruited to Another World, Volume 13. Kaiju number 8 Relax, Volume 2. Koharu and Minato Happy Life with My Girlfriend, Volume 1. Kuma 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 Bear, Manga number 13. Malevolent Spirit Monogatari, Volume 14. A Man and His Cat, Volume 15. May I Have a Taste, Volume 1. Misanthrope Teaches a Class for Demi-Humans, Volume 3. The Mortifying Ordeal of Being Seen, Volume 1. The Most Heretical Last Boss Queen from Villainous to Savior, Light Novel 10. Mushishi Collector's Edition, Volume 2. My Isekai Life, Volume 21. My Quiet Blacksmith Life in Another World, Volume 2. My Quiet Blacksmith Life in Another World, Light Novel, Volume 5. A Nightingale Awaits the Blooming Love of Spring. Old Boy Collector's Edition, Volume 2. So this is the second half of the series, because it's only 8 volumes, so the first volume was the first 4 volumes, and Deluxe 2 is the second half of the series, so it's a really cheap set in long run. We have Orient, Volume 20, Parasite, Paperback Collection number 5, The Prince's Keeper, Volume 1, Quality Assurance in Another World, Volume 12, Reign of the Seven Spellblades, Volume 14, Sacrifice of My Manly Soul, Volume 3, Saint Fallen's Antlers, this is going to be Volume 1, Shanti, standalone. Got Spider-Man Kazuna, this is Volume 3 of the series. Then we've got Splatoon Splatlands, Volume 3, Survival in Another World with My Mistress, Volume 9, light novel. The Tale of a Little Alchemist Blessed by the Spirits, light novel 2. Tear Moon Empire, Volume 8. Tear Moon Empire, light novel, Volume 15. To Your Eternity, Volume 24. True Love Fades When the Contract Ends, Manga number 3. Venus Mission, I was an assassin for hire who died. Now I'm hunting heroes in another world, light novel 1. Virgin Marriage, A Maiden Voyage into Passionate Embrace, Volume 4. Witches Can't Be Collared, Volume 2. Wolf's Daughter, A Werewolf's Tale, Volume 3. Working for God in a Godless World, Volume 5. Manga. The World's Strongest Witch, light novel 2. The Wrong Way to Use Healing Magic, the manga omnibus number 10. Yaiba Samurai Lesson, Volume 4. You Can Have My Back, Destined Souls. Zero Damage Sword Saint, I enrolled in magic school and wound up a contract with the Demon Queen, Volume 3. And last and certainly not least, we've got Zilbagia, the Demon Prince, How the Seventh Prince Brought Down the Kingdom, Volume 6. So these are the manga releases for the week. We have tons of really good ones, some really crappy ones, and some which are a little some which I did not expect to be on my list. And overall, there were so many really good ones. So which are you most excited about? Let me know. Email me at zanspiraken.com. Tweet me at Spiraken. Now, for me personally, my top 5 for this week are going to be 365 Days to the Wedding, Volume 11, because this has been a saccharine, sweet, really well done romance, and the ending is going to be great. We've been waiting for it. Drawing from Your Memory, Volume 1 is a very different story that I think is going to be a lot of fun. That is my highlight for this week. That's the one I'm most excited about. Hitomi-chan is Shy with Strangers, Volume 12. This has been a series which I thought was going to be garbage, but turned out really well done, so I want to see if they can stick the landing. Koharu and Minata, Happy Lives with My Girlfriend. This is a very different romance, and it seemed like a more unique Yuri story than some of the ones we've had recently, so I think it might be good. And then The Prince's Keeper, it seems to be a little bit more of a, fan servicey story, but we're going to have to wait and see. So these are my most anticipated releases for this week. And no, I know there was some better stuff on here, a lot, like the Old Boy, but I wanted to try to stick with some of the more Hallmark series, the bigger ones. But I digress. So anyway, I want to thank each and every one of you who are checking out this podcast, every email I get, every new content, every new comment, every new subscriber. It just gives me more motivation to keep doing this. So thank you so much. You all are awesome, and I appreciate each and every one of you. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. for updates on things. Besides the fact that we are doing our book club on Mondays, I am actually a guest host on the Greatest Movie Ever podcast with Paul Chapman. It came out on the 1st of April, on April Fool's Day, and it's where we talk about Cloak and Dagger, the movie from 1981. Links will be in the show notes, or just look up Greatest Movie Ever podcast with Paul Chapman and Zan. I'm on there. It's really cool. Kind of excited about that. But, also, I did my applications for Animazement. I will be there one way or the other, and I will be at Otakon this year. I finally figured out a way to get some stuff in, so we're going to have a blast at both those conventions. I hope to see you there. I'll give you more notes on what my panels are and what's going on. I've got some really new ones that are going to be great that hopefully will be accepted. But fingers crossed, right? So, thank you so much. Anyway, as usual, I am Zan, and let's get to the best part of this podcast, the most popular part, the most anticipated part. And what are we talking about? We're talking about that one, that only. The Wheel of Manga! Yes, friends, the Wheel of Manga, except no substitutes. Now, what is the Wheel of Manga? The Wheel of Manga is a Wheel of Fortune with 10 slots on it. And what I've done is I've assigned a manga title to each of the 10 slots. So what we're going to use, we're going to spin the wheel. Whatever number it lands on, that's the manga we're going to review in the next episode of the Spiraken Manga Review, episode 626. Can you believe 626? That's crazy. I didn't expect to be going this long, and I'm happy we're here. But let's spin, so we're going to review the next episode, shall we? Pretty long spin, but we'll see what happens. Number 9. So for the next episode, we're going to be reviewing another readmission, and this is one for a series which is really popular. We're talking about Nana. I think the last time I reviewed Nana was all the way back in 2010, I think. But it's been a while. It was all the way back. Oh, never mind. I reviewed it all the way back in episode 151. So that was 2011. So it has been a minute. But anyway, I digress. Does it hold up as this new edition as well as it was? Well, we're going to have to wait and find out. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode. As usual, I am your host, Zan. I am Gonzville. I'll catch you guys next time. And as always, keep reading manga. I will see you later.